Hello, my name is Mark Dorling. I am National CPD Coordinator for Computing at School, the Subjects Association for Computer Science, and I sit on their Board of Management. I'm also the Hodder Education Series Editor for Compute It. You could buy the Dynamic Learning resource Compute It CPD video tutorials based on the Hodder Education Compute It series, featuring essential coverage of key topics and strategies for delivering lessons in computer science. The videos have been produced by Stuck for Schools, featuring Peter Kemp from Roehampton University. It would be a lot of change in the first year to implement the whole of the first book, or indeed the entire series. So actually we would recommend that you gradually implement the changes into your curriculum based on the knowledge and the experience that your staff have in your department and the understanding that you've gained from mapping your existing schemes of work to the programme of study and progression pathways. You can then decide which units you would like to integrate as a priority into your existing curriculum. You don't have to implement the schemes of work in the order that they're presented in the series. As your confidence grows, you may choose to reorder the units to suit your existing curriculum. To do this, we have supported you by highlighting the prior learning needs for a given unit. For example, Book 1, Units 11 and 12, build on the foundations provided by Book 1, Units 3 and 4. But in itself, it then provides the foundation for future studies. For example, Book 2, Units 11 and 12, the ones that teach recursion. The aim is to help you as the classroom teacher to see the relationships between the units of study in the series, so you're better able to assess and implement the changes to your curriculum more effectively. You will not find a unit entitled Introduction to Computational Thinking in this series. This is because we believe that computational thinking is a thought process that is core to the pupil's learning of the subject of computing and can actually be evidenced in each and every unit in our series. Each unit of work will be mapped to a publication focused on the development and assessment of computational thinking in the classroom. The Compute It series doesn't focus on any particular programming language. Instead, we focus on problem solving and computational thinking. We do provide some guides in the series, one for a graphical language and one for a text-based language, for each of these schemes of work. However, we will be looking to support other text-based languages in future free updates via the dynamic learning resources that are available as part of the course. We will be encouraging students to apply their understanding of information technology, that is, their functional IT skills, as a way of evidencing the learning in any given scheme of work. Many teachers are already experts in teaching e-safety, and schools have a plethora of resources available to them for effectively teaching the topic. So wherever appropriate, we have attempted to cover this topic within the schemes of work or signpost opportunities to the teachers in the planning. We do this by considering the implications whilst understanding the foundations of computer science and the applications of the information technology. The resources were written based on the lessons that I've been teaching to pupils in both primary and secondary education. These pupils had a range of educational needs over about a 3-year period. These ideas and lessons were refined based on the feedback from students and the members of staff observing me. We then passed these resources and lessons to an experienced author team who refined them further and tested them in their own classroom before publication. Our research with students when formalising and finalising the plans for this series back in January and February 2012 showed that all students, but particularly girls, really enjoyed cross-curricular computing and problem solving. I think that we've broadly achieved this in the series. For example, in Book 1 we now have programming activities that have an art or a dance or a maths focus. In another unit we get children to design a mobile handheld device of the future to develop their understanding of human-computer interaction. Ultimately, these activities in Book 1 provide a solid foundation for some really exciting activities in Books 2 and 3. The names of the schemes of work were actually created by the students with whom we tested them on. For example, I can't dance, and one of my pupils said to me one day, "Mr. Dorling, would you get with the algorithm?" And the name kind of stuck. In other cases, we've actually gone to the students of the authors who have written up the other schemes of work within the series. There is a lot of subject knowledge within the new computing curriculum, and producing a student book was necessary. I understand this is very different from your traditional ICT books, but I guess this is a reflection of how much the subject has changed in the new 2014 National Curriculum Programme of Study. The Hodder books in the Compute It series are a little bit like the maths and science books your students will be used to using in their other lessons. When editing and reviewing the books, I actually compared them to a range of publications from a range of authors for a range of subjects. We also tried really hard to ensure that we explain the concepts and principles in the simplest language possible, and used as many real-life examples as we could find. For Year 9 students, my advice would be to cherry-pick the most appropriate units from all the books in the series, to provide them with the foundations that they will need at Key Stage 4, whichever pathway they choose, whether that be a computer science or an IT or a digital media pathway. With your Year 8 students, I'd be taking a slightly different approach. I would look at and be mapping the relationships between the units in both books 1 and 2. The key is for you to cherry pick the most appropriate units from these books to provide the foundation that students will need to study Book 3 in Year 9 the following year.